Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to science class. I am Soham Jagad. In today's session, we are going to start our new chapter, that is chapter number 2, and also chapter number 2 in chemistry part, that is matter around us pure? Chapter number 2 is matter around us pure? In first chapter, we have seen that everything around us is made up of some material that scientists called matter. It means that everything around us is made up of material called matter. So everything is made up of matter, but it is pure or it is not pure. Let's see how science defines purity of substance, matter, mixture, etc. How do we judge whether milk, ghee, butter, salt, spices, mineral water, or juice that we buy from the market are pure? We buy several things from market according to our requirement. How can we identify that this thing is pure? Generally, we cannot identify these things by just showing its container and the product. It is our belief in that particular company, product, brand that we consider as this is the pure material that we are buying, because we have not such equipments chemical so that we can taste for the purity of that material. So that is our belief in that product, company, organization for purchasing such kind of product. But there are certain tests that we can perform to check the purity of whatever the thing we buy. For example, it may milk, ghee, butter, mineral water, juice, spices, anything. So there are some standard scientific processes by which we can measure the purity of that particular material. Have you ever noticed the word pure written on the backs of consumables? We purchase lots of consumables, milk, ghee, salt, etc. And on that packs, they have written word pure. So this pure, so this pure word is different meaning for common man. So for common person, pure means having no adulteration. For common person, pure means having no adulteration. What is adulteration? Adulteration means to mix something in some other material. For example, if we say the milk is pure, which means it is not mixed with water or water is not mixed in the milk. So mixing water in milk, that is adulteration. Mixing of vegetable ghee in pure ghee, that is adulteration. Anything addition which is not appropriate or that lowers the quality of product, that we called as adulteration. So the meaning of pure for common person is no adulteration, but for scientists all these things are actually mixture of different substance and hence not pure. But if we see as a point of science, all these things that we called pure such as butter, salt, milk, etc. are not pure because it is made up of some other substance. So that is mixture for scientist, or we can say from the viewpoint of science. For example, milk is actually mixture of water, fat, proteins, etc. So the milk is actually a mixture of water, fat, proteins, etc. When a scientist says that something is pure, it means that all the constituent particles of the substance are the same in their chemical nature. It means that when scientist says that it is pure, it means that all the constituent particles of that substance are same in their chemical nature, which means that everything made up of some substance or mixture of some substance. So in pure matter, properties, or we can say chemical properties of each and every substance should be same. A pure substance consists of single type of particles. Pure substance consists of single type of particles, or reverse we can say that a substance contain only single type of particles are pure substance. So that is about pure substance according to scientific viewpoint. As we look around, we can see that most of the matter around us exists as mixture of two or more pure components. So almost everything around us is mixture of two or more pure components. For example, seawater. Seawater is a mixture of salts and water. Minerals. Minerals also made up of different matters. Soil. Soil has different components in it, made up of different chemical components. all are mixture. So sea water, mineral, soil, etc. are mixtures. Now we have topic number 2.1. What is mixture? What is mixture? Mixtures are constitute by more than one of pure of matter. Mixture are formed by pure matter, that is one kind or more than one kind. It is more than one kind of matter mixed to form mixture. What is substance? Substance is, you can see here, marked as pure form of matter known as substance, and that is also one kind of pure form of matter that we known as substance. When more than one kind of pure matter mixed together, substances mixed together, it forms mixture. Important point, a substance cannot be separated into other kind of matter by any physical process. A substance cannot be separated into other kind of matter by any physical process. We will see some processes in which chemical structure of substance or mixture will not change. So that kind of process is known as physical process. And which are the chemical process? A chemical process in which the chemical structure of matter changes. That is physical process and chemical process. For example, formula for water is H2O. If we solidified it, which means making ice, ice has the same formula, that is H2O, which means no change in chemical formulation. Similarly, if we heat the water, it evaporates and form water vapor. So the water vapor has also equation or say formula H2O. So this boiling solidification, that we called as physical process. Physical process. We know that dissolved sodium chloride can be separated from water by physical process of evaporation. Now, what is the dissolved sodium chloride? Sodium chloride is basically salt we use in our food preparation, that is sodium chloride, and mixture of this sodium chloride with water, we can separate it by evaporation. You might seen making of salt, that is the process of evaporation. We have seen what is evaporation. When water is mixed with sodium chloride and when we put it in open atmosphere, what will happen? Water gets evaporate, but the substance that is mixed in it, that is sodium chloride, cannot evaporate. So all water evaporates, remaining is sodium chloride. So we can separate it by physical process called evaporation. However, sodium chloride is itself a substance and cannot be separated by physical process into its chemical constituents. As we know that sodium chloride is made up of sodium and chlorine. The formula for sodium chloride is NaCl. The sodium chloride is substance. Why? Because it cannot separate by any physical process to its chemical constituent, that is sodium and chloride. We cannot separate sodium and chloride from sodium and chlorine from sodium chloride by any physical process. Similarly, sugar is a substance because it contains only one kind of pure matter and its composition is the same throughout. Similarly, sugar is a substance because it contains only one kind of pure matter and that is composition of it is same throughout. Soft drinks and soil are not single substance, which means we can separate it with physical process, and the structure, or we can say composition, is not same throughout. So the soft drink, soil are not single substances. Whatever the source of substance may be, it will always have same characteristic properties. So for every substance, it will always have the same characteristic properties. Therefore, we can say that mixture contains more than one substance, or we can say that more than one substance makes mixture. So that is about mixture. Now let's try to understand types of mixture. Types of mixture. Depending upon the nature of components that form a mixture, we can have different type of mixture. Depending upon the nature of component that is forms a mixture, which means by which component this mixture is made up of, that determines the type of mixture. We have activity number 2.1. In this activity, we divide a class into 4 groups called A, B, C, D, and we give certain substance or things to these groups. Group A takes a beaker containing 50 ml of water and a spatula full of copper sulfate powder. So we have 4 groups. For the first group A, we have beaker that contains 50 ml of water and spatula full of copper sulfate powder. Group B takes a 50 ml of water and 2 spatula full of copper sulfate powder in beaker. So copper sulfate powder, we can see here, This is copper sulfate powder. This is copper sulfate powder. This is crystals of copper sulfate. Actually, the powder is also made up from crystal only by grinding it. So this is the crystal of copper sulfate, and this is the powder form. Powder form. That actually this is a granular form kind of structure, but if we grind it very fine, we can get the powder. So that is the powder of copper sulfate. Group C and D can take a different amount of copper sulfate and potassium permanganate or common salt called sodium chloride and mix the given components to form mixture. Now group C and D can also take the same amount or a different amount of copper sulfate. C and D will take different amount of copper sulfate and potassium permanganate. What is potassium permanganate? Here we can see that this is potassium permanganate. It will give pink or magenta kind of color in water, which is looks like this. If we dilute potassium permanganate in water, it looks like this. So four groups. First group have copper sulfate. Second group B has also copper sulfate but in large quantity. C group have copper sulfate and potassium permanganate or common salt. Report the observation of the uniformity in color and texture. Now if we put copper sulfate 1 spatula full in 50 ml and 2 spatula full in 50 ml, obviously you can see that the color in the second case will be darker, brighter in second case because it has more quantity of copper sulfate. So we can see that group A and B obtained a mixture which has uniform composition throughout. Such mixture are called homogeneous mixture or solutions. So here we have important definition called homogeneous mixture or solution. So the mixture which has a uniform composition throughout called homogeneous mixture or solution. So other example of such mixture are salt in water, sugar in water. That is the example of this kind which we notice here, homogeneous mixture. Compare the color of solution of two groups. Though both groups have obtained copper sulfate solution, but intensity of color of the solution is different. As we can see here, this is made up of potassium permanganate, but if we mix copper sulfate, it will bluish in color. So we are not concerned for color here, but you can see here in the first figure there is more intensity of color compared to second. So you can see if we put more substance or more copper sulfate, it has bright color, darker color, more intensity. With less color, we have less intensity. This shows that the homogeneous mixture can have variable composition, which shows that homogeneous mixture can have variable composition. which means that is depend on the quantity of other substance we mixed in. Group C and D have obtained mixtures which contain physically distinct part and not uniform composition. Such mixture are called heterogeneous mixture. So heterogeneous mixture, that is mixture we can distinct. You can see here the group C and D take different amount of copper sulfate and potassium permanganate, or copper sulfate and common salt, and mix the given components to form mixture. So if we mix copper sulfate and potassium permanganate, or copper sulfate and common salt, we can differentiate it. We can identify physically distinct part of that mixture. So the group C and D have heterogeneous mixture, that is non-uniform in composition, and we can have physically distinct part of that composition. So we have second type of mixture, that is heterogeneous mixture. Mixture of sodium chloride in iron fillings, that is heterogeneous mixture. Mixture of salt and sulfur, that is heterogeneous. Oil and water are example of heterogeneous mixture. So basically heterogeneous is the mixture we can identify different in that substances. So that is what we called as heterogeneous mixture and homogeneous mixture. So in today's lecture we have seen the word pure is difference in scientific language and layman language. The word pure is difference for us in the general life and in scientific language. We have seen that milk is actually mixture of water, fat and proteins. The pure is something when it constituent particles of same chemical in nature, substances that are same in chemical nature. After that we have seen what is mixture. Mixture is made up of more than one substance, and mixture can have different types. So we have seen different types of mixture, that is homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. What is homogeneous mixture? So mixture which has a uniform composition throughout, such mixture are called homogeneous mixture. And we have seen example of homogeneous mixture, that is salt in water, sugar in water, that is example of homogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture, mixture which contain physically distinct part and have non-uniform compositions, called heterogeneous mixture. Such mixture, example of such mixture is salt and sulfur, sodium chloride and iron filling, oil and water are the example of heterogeneous mixture.